Hello everybody, I am AceCreeper and today I'm back with another Doctor Who list ranking video. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, but we're back with it. We did a few of the top 10 episodes for each Doctor's era before. We're going to continue with that in some time with a bit of Capaldi, a bit of Whittaker again. But I thought we'd address this one. Series 12 gave us about 4 or 5 brand new Cyberman designs, and since it's been almost a year, I think, since I released my initial Cyberman design list ranking, worst to best, I thought I would update my rankings, give some new opinions, as well as adding in the brand new Cyberman designs that we've been given in Series 12. It's worth noting that this video is just Cybermen, Cyber Controllers, and Cyber Leaders. All the physical builds, the sort of humanoid shape of the Cybermen. Give or take. There are no cyber mats, no cyber mites, no cyber drones like the big heads from the Series 12 finale, and there's certainly no cyber planners either, so you can say goodbye to Matt Smith's sort of weird cyber design as well. So this is all just Cybermen, Cyber Leaders, Cyber Controllers, the main humanoid bodies of this famous Doctor Who villain. It's also worth noting, again, that this is totally my opinion. There are 27 different versions of the Cybermen to rank that I've at least counted. So, yeah, you're probably not going to agree with every single placement on this list. That's absolutely fine, but do feel free to let me know what your thoughts are, what your top 5, top 10, or just your entire list ranking of these Cybermen. Let me know in the comments what yours are. I would absolutely love to see that, because this is probably going to have a few controversial opinions in it. Anyway, let's get going with number 27. The Trenzalore Cyberman from 2013's Time of the Doctor. In my opinion, yeah, it's the worst Cyberman design. I don't really like the Nightmare in Silver designs anyway, the sort of post-Cyber War variant of the Cybermen, because I feel like they're a bit too robotic. And then using the design that I already don't like and then giving it a wood look was just... I hate it. I genuinely hate it with a passion. It makes no sense to me, the whole thing about Cybermen being upgraded humans and all that sort of thing. They're not meant to be robots, and I know that was addressed in the recent Series 12 finale. However, they're not meant to be robots at heart. They're meant to be upgraded humans, and I felt like, the robot, at least you can sort of vaguely pitch that, but wooden? It's just... They just become generic robots at this point, and then turning them into, like, wood and giving them a flamethrower. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And the fact that it was only in the episode for, like, a brief amount of time, it just made very little sense, and I really didn't like it. So, yeah, absolutely bottom of the list for me. Number 26, we've got the Cyber Shade from 2008's The Next Doctor. Basically answering the long, age-old question, I presume, probably not, of what would happen if a Cyberman converted a dog or a cat or an animal. It comes up with this. It comes in with a actor in a big rag coat thing with a steampunk Cyberman helmet. Now don't get me wrong, the helmet is actually pretty good. I actually really like the sort of steampunky, sort of bronze type Cyberman head. However, it's all to do with the rest of the character as well. They don't talk, they run around ferally. I know that's probably part of their character. I just don't like it. It just seems weird. Why are you converting animals? It's like trying to bring something in for the sake of it, just for the sake of marketing, to go, oh look, new Cybermen. It's like, oh, you don't need it. It's just weird, and it just makes absolutely no sense. And realistically, you can do the story without the Cyber Shades. It doesn't actually need them. You could just do something else with it and link it in with the Cybermen a different way. You don't need the Cyber Shades. It's a really weird concept, and if the Cybermen are already struggling to sort of convert people and falling back through time and the parallel universe and all that sort of stuff, why are they going to be going, oh, let's convert some animals? That's a great idea. To me, the theory and the idea never really made sense, but yeah, it's a nice enough design, the helmet's gorgeous, but it's no better than any of the other ones on this list, really. Number 25, the first probably controversial opinion, the Nemesis Cybermen from 1988's Silver Nemesis. I really don't like these guys, and I know a lot of people do, and I totally get it. I just feel like it's a downgrade from the Earthshock designs, which already, and you'll see, I'm not a massive fan of the Earthshock designs, but then you take the Earthshock designs, you make the helmets really, really obnoxiously shiny, so it's really hard to film, and then you make the bodies sort of a darker colour. It just... I wasn't a big fan of it. I wasn't a big fan of what they did with it. It's at a very basic level of... It's just me being picky about Cyberman designs, because there's not too much of a difference between the Nemesis Cybermen and the Earthshock ones, but if I had to pick one of my favourite, it would be Earthshock, and I feel like the Nemesis, it was a step down, and it's not a one that I go, ooh, I'd love to see that exact design back in New Who. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Number 24 on the list is the Nemesis CyberLeader. Probably wasn't going to be that far behind because it's basically just the same design, but it's got the black handles. I want to separate all the leader generic Cybermen designs from the leaders and the controllers, even if there wasn't many changes other than like a black handlebar, because they are a different design in all fairness. But this isn't a massive improvement. There's no big change. At least the Revenge ones had like most of the head being sort of had this sort of lovely black matte wash on it. This is just a handlebar thing, and overall the design, I still don't like it. It's not improved because it's got the black handlebars. It's a slight improvement, but it's so slight that I'm just going to put them together. It's pointless. Number 23, the Telos Cyber Controller. Taking the Earthshock basic design here and basically giving it a massive sort of head. And removing the handlebars. Now I don't mind it. I actually don't mind it as a design. It works perfectly fine and does a good job as a cyber controller. However, in terms of cyber controllers, I much prefer the one from Tomb of the Cybermen with the sort of different sort of shape head and the different sort of design to this. I feel like this is it's appropriate of the era. It works. It does the trick. It still looks cool, but I just again not a massive fan of the Earthshock design in terms of the face. So pairing that with the weird bulge on the head, it just seems a bit, I don't know, I couldn't put this really any higher on my list because I can't lie, I don't really like it that much. I like it enough to say like, oh, this would be cool, and I enjoy it in the story, but I don't really have any major feelings for it beyond that. I just think it's fine, and yeah, it's no better than the rest of them, so there we go. Number 22, we've got the Stealth Cyberman. Yeah, very, very cool. I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. Again, it's just the Earthshock design. I think this is from Attack of the Cybermen. I might be wrong with that one, but I believe it is. It's just an all-black version of the Earthshock Cybermen design, basically. And I don't mind it, it's pretty cool, but they never really get a time to shine. They're just sort of in the background, so it's hard to go sort of, oh, I really like when this version did this and this did this, and there's nothing unique to it. It's just a costume that's been painted black for the sake of it. It's not a leader, it's a stealth variant. They're trying to go all Stormtrooper and Star Wars with it, which I don't mind, but yeah, it just falls down because again, it's just not as good as the original Earthshock design or the leader or anything like that. It's just there. Looks cool enough, but it's just there. I respect the decision to try and make it interesting and new and refreshing, but yeah, I don't have any feelings towards it really, so yeah, 22nd. Number 21 is the Victorian Cybus CyberLeader from 2008's The Next Doctor. Now, when we saw the CyberLeader in 2006 in Series 2, they just had the sort of black handlebars, and now they've come back and they've got this sort of new refreshing design which takes inspiration from that leader thing, but adding a little bit more of a black wash to the whole helmet, and also giving it the sort of brain thing from the Cyber Controller from Series 2. Now, I actually really like the idea of the brain thing, that kind of works. It's a bit of an odd choice, because that's usually only reserved for the Cyber Controllers, so to give it to the Cyber Leader was interesting, to say the least. But the thing I really don't like about this design is the fact that it puts the black on the face, because then it just hides the eyes, and then the colour doesn't really work too well with it. Having the black eyes on the silver body, it really emphasises the eyes and the shape of the eyes and the mouthpiece. However, this just sort of hides it, so just if you squint your eyes, you basically just don't see a face, you just sort of see a metal thing, and it just doesn't really work as well. And number 20, the 12th Cyber Legion CyberLeader from 2011. I believe it was A Good Man Goes to War, and maybe Closing Time. I can't actually remember because I haven't seen Closing Time in a long time for obvious reasons. It's not a very good episode. Again, similar sort of problem here. The only difference is obviously it removes the Cybus thing and they've got massive guns. I actually do prefer the 12th Cyber Legion Cybermen. It's a very picky change because it's literally only a chestplate thing, but I do think they look better. However, I don't think this looks that much better than the last one because the problems are still there with the face, the eyes and the nose and all that sort of thing. The nose, the mouth even. The Cybermen don't have noses, but yeah, it's that sort of issue that I really just don't like with it because you can't really see much of the facial details. I respect the decision to go with the brain, not a massive fan of it because, like, again, cyber controller stuff. Yeah, I think the black is cool, especially over the sort of earmuff things, but not on the face, please, not on the face. 19th, we have the Cybus Cyber Controller from 2006's Age of Steel. I actually really like this design. I think it's an interesting one. It basically just takes the Cybus Cyberman and gives it a different headpiece. It's got this sort of gorgeous sort of open brain piece, which I do like because it is a cyber controller, and that's only fair. And it is a little bit body horror-esque as well, because although we did see a little bit of brain with the Telos one and the one from Tomb of the Cybermen, this actually shows like the proper sort of human brain behind it, and it's actually kind of creepy in a way. I also love the glowing eyes. That's such a big new addition, and I actually really like that element of the design. The voice is also pretty dope. I like the way the character's been functioned. I like the fact that he's sort of confined to a chair. It makes it so sort of, you know, grandesque. You've got this sort of character who's sitting in a throne, the king of the Cybermen almost. So yeah, I do really like that element of it. Yeah, the design's great. It's better than the sort of brain thing they try to do with the previous cyber leaders. But yeah, again, I don't. At the same time, I don't love it because I wouldn't use it as a standard Cyberman design. I probably wouldn't like to see this version of the Cyber Controller again. I want them to do something different with it. But yeah, no, I like it for what it is. Number 18, we have the post-Cyber War Cybermen from 2013's Nightmare in Silver and all the way through basically until the end of Capaldi's era. If you know me by now, you'll know I really don't like these designs. I wouldn't say I never have. I did at one point, you know, like them. They were fine. It's just they're too robotic. It goes too far in the direction that I don't like with Cybermen. I love the Cybermen being the sort of body horror-esque type design where it should feel more primitive. It should feel more Frankenstein, really, where it's just an amalgamation of different parts to try and make this human work. These, I mean, a lot of people call this the Iron Man design, which is totally fair, from the exact shape of the face, the sort of arc reactor type circular light in the middle, the fact that they can fly, which I cannot stand, and the sort of arm shooter thing as well. A lot of things in the Cyberman design are just the things that I really don't like about Cyberman designs when they do them. The sort of over the top lights, the sort of flying, I can't stand. The shooting from the hand, hate. Just the general sort of, it just looks too smooth to be a Cyberman, you know? A Cyberman should, yeah, I guess should look somewhat human-like, and it does to an extent, but these just feel too much like robots, and they were always like that, especially with what they did in Nightmare in Silver with the whole flash speed thing and the... I just didn't like it. They just felt too much like Ultra Supreme robots, and I know that's the intention. I know it's past the Cyber War, they're meant to be upgraded, the best, most powerful Cybermen you could imagine, but I still don't like it, and I still don't like how they were the main go-to Cybermen for many years on Doctor Who, and I'm just not a fan of them. Number 17, we have the Wheel in Space Cybermen from 1968. Wheel in Space. These Cybermen designs aren't really too far off the previous ones from the moon base, but again, I had to separate them. I don't like these ones as much. I think they are fine, they do a good job. They were the first ones to add the iconic teardrop to the eyes, and technically the mouth, but that wasn't as iconic. The costumes aren't that incredible. They're very much just a skin-tight suit with a helmet and a few little extensions of wiring and cabling here and there, which I don't mind, but again, it does feel like a bit of a step down. And I know that's basically what the Invasion Cybermen had, and that's basically what the Moon-based Cybermen had. However, I'm just not as fond of what they did with this, if I'm being honest with you. I just think it's sort of one of those ones where it's just sort of, there's something about it which I'm not too keen on. Maybe it is the teardrops. Maybe the teardrops do just feel too much for this specific design. Because I do like the teardrops, but I think it works better with different variants of the Cybermen opposed to these ones. But yeah. At number 16, we have the Cybus CyberLeader from 2006. I believe Doomsday, I think it was. Doomsday and Army of Ghosts. This one is basically the go-to for the cyber leaders for me, personally, in my opinion, that is. I don't really like the C for the Cybus logo. I never really liked that because it just seemed a bit on the nose to have a C. I know it's Cybus, but it's like, oh look, we are branded. It's like the Daleks having like a big metal plate with a D on the front of it, like we are Daleks. It just seems a bit over the top, and I don't really like that design, and we'll get to the Cybus ones in a bit. But I'm talking about the leader specifically. I like the simplicity of it. I like the fact that it's just the black handlebars, and that's the only difference. Yeah, that's basically it for me. I don't really want to say any more than that. It is just that difference, and it does a world of good for me. The Earthshock CyberLeader comes in at 15th from 1982's Earthshock, obviously. I don't mind this one. Again, it's not as good as the actual original design. I think I've got the same thoughts with the Cyber Leaders for the Earthshock and Doomsday ones, in the sense that I like them, but not as much as the actual original Cyberman design. So yeah, black bars are great, nice simplistic look. I would have preferred the ears to be covered as well, the sort of earmuff design things to be covered as well, like in Revenge of the Cybermen. But yeah, it's fine. It does the trick. I like it, but that's all I can really say about it. At number 14, we have the Cybus CyberMen from 2006 onwards. This started in the Rise of the Cybermen, continued on through most of David Tennant's era. These Cybermen hold a special place in my heart personally because they're my first Cybermen. This is what Cybermen looked like to me. I didn't know about the originals back when I watched Doctor Who for the first time. I started watching Doctor Who I started watching like early 2007 or late 2006. So series 1 and 2 had already come out. I watched all of them back to back and I became a fan. So these Cybermen were my childhood in the same way that the Daleks, the series 1 Daleks were. Like they were my Daleks and Cybermen. That was what I was connected to when I was growing up to Doctor Who. And I do love them. I do have a special place in my heart for them. However, I still have a few downsides, because now I've become a fan, and now I've watched Classic Who, at least some of it. I've picked out bits that I like and bits I don't like about Cybermen designs, and something I don't like is it being too robotic. It's why I don't like the post-Cyber War Cybermen. The too robotic kind of feel towards some of these, especially these ones, it really puts me off. I like the Cybermen feeling individual. I don't like the whole marching around. That always got on my wick. I don't like the all sort of formation type thing. I like them all to walk off in their own things, because they're meant to just be upgraded humans. Yes, they've removed key factors, and yes, they're going to, of course, keep upgrading themselves to be better and better and better, and this does make sense. I'm still not a massive fan of the whole idea of the whole stomping about robot type things. I still don't like the guns in the arm, although they're better than the Nightmare in Silver ones. I really don't like the C on the chest plate, as I talked about before with the CyberLeader. It puts me off. So the Cybermen are always going to be, for me, below the 12th Cyber Legion ones, even though the only difference is just the C on the chest plate. But yeah, I do like these designs. It's got a special place in my heart, but they're not the best variants of this generation of Cybermen. So yeah, they're going to go here. In 13th place, I've got an Earthshock Cybermen from 1982's Earthshock. A design that a lot of fans really, really love. I have a soft spot for it, but I really have to say it's probably my least favourite classic design, other than like Nemesis. The head sculpt is just so off for me. I don't like the weird frowny face they've got. I don't like the weird slit across the face, like where a nose might be. I don't like the wires coming out of the ear things on the side, and things about it, like, I do like it, and I do respect it, and I do think it's a good design. It's definitely an upgrade, but for me, I just don't like it as much as the more classic ones, and the ones that come after them. It's a bit of a difficult one. They're my least favourite classic design, I think, well, at least my least favourite classic mould, which obviously includes Nemesis. It's just a different colour scheme. But yeah, I do like them, and I do try, but I just can't love them as much as I love the ones above on this list. Such as, for example, the Revenge Cybermen, from 1975's Revenge of the Cybermen. I do love this design. They're very particular, they're very unique. It moves on very slightly from the Cybermen in the Invasion, but instead of they replace the sort of handlebars with the sort of tubing, which does look good. I do like it. I think it works quite well for like a sort of one-off thing. I don't like it as much as the handlebars. The handlebars feel a little bit more, I don't know, they just feel a little bit more Cyberman-like. However, this makes more sense in the whole upgraded human type thing, with the whole sort of piping and wiring and all that sort of thing around their body anyway. This does fit in quite well. And I do like the design. Again, it is just a helmet with a bodysuit underneath though, so yeah, nothing too adventurous, but I do like it. 11 is a bit of an interesting one. This is a Cyber War Cybermen from 2020's Ascension of the Cybermen. This is the one that people may not have noticed, and I'll put a little image on screen hopefully now from the episode. When they panned out a shot into space and saw all the bits of Cybermen floating about, I did notice that actually the Cybermen that were floating there, although they looked like Cybus CyberMen or 12th Cyber Legion Cybermen from the heads, the bodies actually weren't at all. The bodies were actually the bodies of the new Warrior Cybermen with the head sculpt of a Cybus Cyberman, which is actually really interesting. I kind of like it. I had to make this sort of mock-up, which is on screen now. This is my sort of own design based off the one that the promo images that we've got. It's not very good, but I actually don't mind it. The whole glowing chest piece and that arm gun is, questionable at times, but I do prefer it to the Nightmare in Silver mold. And actually, not having the C chest plate is actually a big plus. I love the Cybus head. Working with this body, it looks so different and so refreshing and kind of a little bit unique. It feels like a perfect in-between of the Cybus and the Warrior ones, which I know is obvious. That should be obvious. It is just the body of the Warrior ones with the Cybus head. But I still like it. It's still despite not being very unique, it does the trick, and I actually like how they look in space, sort of floating there. So yeah, they go quite high up in the list, but we never actually see them walking about, talking, anything like that, so we don't really know too much about this specific race of Cybermen, but I like it all the same. In 10th place, we have the Tomb of the Cybermen Cyber Controller from 1967's Tomb of the Cybermen. I love this. I really do love this. It's a bit goofy, sure, but that sort of design of the Cyber Controller, the first ever Cyber Controller we see, mixed with the voice and the personality, is just gorgeous. It is so well done. Tomb of the Cybermen is a great story, but the Cybermen don't really do much overall. It's more the Cyber Controller that does actually quite a bit of the action in these stories. So him or her having that sort of creepy, sort of wiry electronic voice, that strange new headpiece that we've never seen on a Cyberman before, it's great. It's haunting as well, because the eyes are so vacant, and it's close enough to the sort of Tomb and Moonbase versions of the Cybermen, but at the same time it's so unique and different, and almost a little bit more human-like. It is quite scary, it is quite creepy, and yeah, even just looking at the image on the screen now, I'm just getting a little bit uneasy. It's quite a creepy design, and I just can't help but love it. In 9th place, we have the Mondasian Cybermen from 1966's The 10th Planet. I bloody love this design, I really do. It's a gorgeous Cyberman design. The very first, the very original Cybermen, nothing like any of the ones that came after it, but, well, until the obviously World Enough in Time, but still just so unique and brilliant. And yes, I've shown this to people at uni who've never seen Doctor Who before, or maybe have only seen New Who, or seen little bits of it and know what Cybermen look like in New Who, and then saw this and went, but what is that? That's awful. It looks so badly made. I mean, I'll agree with them. The sellotape around the headpiece and the sort of body bits is it's a little bit tacked on. However, the sort of thing behind it, the voice especially, of this sort of human in a bagged mask, sort of more, the concept of it is haunting. It's terrifying, and this is the first. The human hands are a big plus for this model, having the sort of slight connection back to their origins is fascinating. The sort of robotic lungs and lights and all that sort of thing on their chest is just, again, haunting. I love the sort of light on their head, like little things like that. It's like, it does feel like a human that's trying to patchwork itself to be improved, to live longer, to live as long as it can. And it's just really, really creepy, and I love it to bits. It's obviously got a few downsides, you know, it is a bit dated now, and it's probably the only Cyberman design that I probably would say is just really dated and couldn't come back without a big improvement. Obviously we saw them come back in World Enough in Time, but that's a totally different design because it's so much slicker and so much, in a way it is a lot better than this, because this is so sort of, it's a product of its time, whereas all the other ones from like Tomb of the Cybermen, the Moon Base, Wheel in Space, the Invasion, etc, 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 those could all probably come back in New Who looking exactly the same, and people wouldn't bat an eyelid. If these came back looking exactly the same, people would probably be like, maybe you should have done something there. That's the only downside. This is probably the only Cybermen design that's probably like made a bit poorly and made a bit on the cheap. However, the concepts and the iconography with it is just gorgeous. So yeah, that's why it goes so high on the list for me. I do love this design. In 8th place, we have the Cybermasters from 2020's The Timeless Children. A lot of people will not agree with me on this one. It's going to be very controversial, especially when you look at the fact that I've put this above a lot of the classic designs that may be fan favourites for a lot of people. But I love this design. I really, really love this design so much. I don't even know why. It basically takes, again, the body sculpt of the Warrior Cybermen and the Cyber War Cybermen, basically, adding a new head and adding some robes. The robes are a gorgeous part, and the thing is, these Cybermasters, they are half Cyberman, half Time Lord. They're not converting humans anymore, they're converting Time Lords. So I love what they did with it. I love the Gallifreyan writing on the helmet. I love the Gallifreyan collar behind them. Yes, it might look a bit silly, but I think it's gorgeous. I think it's genuinely brilliant. It makes these sort of Cybermen feel unique, scarier than most Cybermen, because of they're just sort of almost immortal. They almost can't die. They're almost sort of like, it's just weird that they can just keep living and regenerating and thriving. So I really hope in the show these come back, because they are brilliantly designed, in my opinion anyway. I love the robe, I love the aesthetic of this whole Cyberman Time Lord type thing, controlled by the Master. I mean, that is brilliant to me. I genuinely love that idea. However, if it doesn't come back, it will be a bit of a shame, but I feel like it's one of those ones that it just works for me, and I can see why people think it looks a bit goofy and a bit silly, especially with that big frown, but the frown kind of reminds me of the Earthshock design, with a sort of like slightly downward pointing mouth, and obviously the teardrop eyes have finally been changed to a sort of downward pattern over these many years of having the sort of sideways ones, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, I don't know, it's one of those ones where it's like, I really like it, I really like what they did with it, I can see why people think it looks silly, but I personally think it works really well. Especially within the context of the story, which we don't get much of. Maybe given some time to think about it, maybe I'll change my mind. But at the moment, I'm very happy with these, and I really like the design. In 7th place, we have the 12th Cyber Legion Cybermen. They are genuinely brilliant. I do love this design in the sort of... It's a weird sort of way, but I really do love this design. It's such a slight change from the Cybus ones, but they just feel so different. Seeing the Cybermen on ships and in armies, sort of not really in too much of a formation, is miles better than what Davis did with the Cybermen in the terms of the Cybus ones. This whole parallel universe thing. I don't like that. I like the fact that these are Cybermen that would inevitably come from sort of any sort of human colony. I love the fact that these came on the colony ship. I love the fact that these are out and about just in the universe. I love the fact that they actually once again appeared in Series 12 alongside the Lone Cyberman. I think they're brilliant. I think they're a fantastic design. I do see the downsides of it, and I do think they're a little bit robotic. However, for me as a fan growing up with these as my original Cyberman design, minus the C obviously, I just can't help but love them. And I do have a soft spot for the original ones, but I think removing the C, replacing it with a circle, making the Cybermen feel less sort of formatted, more just like they were in the classic series. Yes, they do look a bit robotic and they do look a bit silly at times. However, I love it. I think these look great. I don't think they're my favourite, obviously. They're quite a way off that, but I do love it. And I think when he came back in Series 12 alongside the Lone Cyberman, there was something in me which was like, I don't like this design, but why am I getting so nostalgic over seeing this design? And it made me realise that this design is the one that I would actually want to see as the main Cyberman design, Yes, I do prefer some of the other ones here and there, like the Warriors and all that sort of thing, but I really like this design as a sort of general step back to, if you want to bring back a Cybermen, or the Cybermen, or a Cyberman, make it in the style of this one, because these look great and it's a great format to follow. At number 6, we have the Warrior Cybermen from 2020's Ascension of the Cybermen and the Timeless Children. I really love these. I genuinely really love these. I know they're a bit of a weird design. Now, it does take the Nightmare in Silver design, and it takes an inspiration from that a little bit, especially with the chest piece, which is mostly unchanged, which obviously, I don't really like that design. However, it changes it enough where it actually does feel a little bit more intimidating. The voices go less from this sort of deep, brooding, weird mix of, multiple different Cybermen back to the same one as the Cybus Cybermen. The Cybus Cybermen had a great Cyberman voice. And the fact that these Warrior Cybermen can keep that same voice, yet looking more like a classic design that I absolutely know and love. Very similar to that of the Invasion, especially with the headpiece. I really love that. I love the light on the head. That's a really nice callback. I love the face pattern. The spikes are a lovely addition. Very unique, very interesting design, but I actually really like it. The arm gun, it does bother me a little bit, but I actually, it's bearable. I would have liked to have seen them use the headpiece, or maybe the chest piece as a sort of firing weapon for a bit of a change up, but I'm not going to complain. I've wanted the Cybermen in New Who for years to have the sort of chunkier sides to the head, more like some of the Earthshock and sort of Invasion Cybermen. So I'm glad to see it finally brought to New Who as a sort of actual thing, and I really hope this Cyberman design does stay on for a while. Seeing them all walk over the hill as well, I know a lot of them were actually in some sort of formation every now and then, but I did like to see some of them walk by themselves over the hill and do their own thing, less in formation, more in that these are just upgraded humans, which I really love. In 5th place, we have the Revenge CyberLeader from 1975's Revenge of the Cybermen. A gorgeous design, in my opinion. I really love what they did with the whole CyberLeader things. This is bang on, probably the best CyberLeader, in my opinion. I love what they did. They didn't just make the sort of pipes black, they made most of the headpiece black, other than obviously the face, which as I've said multiple times with the previous Cybus or 12th Cyber Legion ones that they tried to do, you don't make the face black because it covers away the eyes and the mouth and all that sort of stuff. You make the face silver, and you can do whatever you want to the side of the head because it all looks good in black, and it emphasises that whole leadership ability. I really, really love what they did with this design, and it's a shame they haven't gone back to it. If they ever sort of kit out one of the warrior Cybermen to look like a cyber leader, then this would be how I would do it. Keep the face silver, keep the rest of the head black. That would be ideal, that would look great, and I really would love that. So yeah. But yeah, love this design. It's great, it's simple, it does the trick, and yeah, one of my favourite classics. Probably my favourite CyberLeader design, I think, yeah, so, yeah, good stuff. In 4th place, we have the Moonbase / Tomb Cybermen from, obviously, Moonbase and Tomb of the Cybermen, both in 1967. Some gorgeous Cybermen designs here, really, really love them. The big difference between, well, there's not really a big difference between these and the Wheel and Space ones, and the Wheel and Space ones are so much lower down on the list. The big difference is the eyes, the sort of general headpiece, and some of the wires on the chest as well. The big black wires are a big plus for me. I don't really like the teardrops too much on this sort of model of Cybermen, so I actually really like the look of just the circular and just the sort of square mouths. It gives a more haunting, sort of vacant appearance, which I actually really like. Yeah, and everything else is basically very similar to that of the Wheel in Space Cybermen, but I really, really like this design a little bit more. I like to feel, and I feel like I couldn't put these two designs together because that would just be a bit unfair, because I don't love them both that much. I kind of love this one out of the two is probably my favourite, and then the other one I wouldn't really put above the others, even though they only have slight differences. These are my sort of go-to, and I really, really like these. I would love to see these Cybermen return, however, probably the most unlikely, but yeah, I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. In 3rd place, we have my favourite classic Doctor Who Cybermen. It's the last classic one on the list. We've got through all of them now. This is the Invasion Cybermen from 1968. The Invasion. Gorgeous designs. I know they're very basic, I know they're very silly, and I know they're very, very clearly costumes, but the headpieces are probably my favourite Cyberman headpieces besides Mondasian. Genuinely brilliant. I love the fact that it's just a Tomb of the well, technically a Wheel in Space Cyberman head with the sort of extension earmuff type things on the side, and obviously the handlebars instead of the whole piping. I actually love it. I really, really love it. And if I was to get a proper replica Cyberman head, this would be the one I'd have to get. It's just a gorgeous looking design, and I really I love it. The suit does leave a lot to be desired. I don't like the zip up look in the middle. I do like the sort of chest unit. I do like the sort of the bumps and the sort of wiring on the legs and the arms. That's a nice plus. I just love it. I can't explain really why I love it. I just do. I think it's the head. I think the headpiece is the key standout for this Cybermen, this type of Cybermen. The rest of it's sort of just basic, classic, early sort of 60s, 70s classic Cybermen with a sort of like skin-tight jacket or costume with a few things over the top of it. It's just the headpiece that does it for me. It's the best, for me, the most iconic classic Cybermen, for me personally. I know that's not fact. But also my favourite. Genuinely. Absolutely love it. In 2nd place, we have the Lone Cyberman design from 2020's The Haunting of Vilo Diodati. I love this design. I really, really do. It's gorgeous. It incorporates designs from all across the different Cybermen types and all that sort of thing. Its left arm is very clearly a 10th planet Mondasian arm, which I think is gorgeously done, especially with a human hand. The chest piece is very clearly one of the Cyber War Cybermen, or maybe Nightmare in Silver, depends. I think Nightmare in Silver comes canonically after this Cyberman design, so I have a feeling that's just Cyber War. The giant shoulder pad, I think, is probably from Cyber War as well, as is the arm gun. The leg pieces aren't too clear, but they look to be a sort of they look to just be trousers, really. Trousers, probably with a few mixed things in with wires and bits of robotics, which again work incredibly well. The face is not of any Cyberman design we've seen as of yet. However, probably my favourite Cyberman head by the looks of it, beyond, you know, Classic Who, and obviously the Invasion. It incorporates many different types. It incorporates Mondasian with sort of the lines running back over the top of the head. It incorporates most of Classic Who with having a sort of light or maybe a sort of like headpiece thing in the sort of centre of the character's brain. And it also incorporates some fan art designs as well, which I've seen a lot of. Matt Savage being a key influence by the looks of it, as to the Cyberman head. But it's a gorgeous looking design. It's genuinely quite creepy and haunting, especially with the half face there. It's rusty, it's old, it's battered, and it is exactly what I wanted to see from a lone Cyberman. This terrifying presence. And I was very, very excited when I saw this on screen, and honestly ecstatic coming out of the haunting of Villa Diodati. It's a gorgeous looking Cyberman design. The voice is incredible. The movement sounds are incredible, and everything about this Cyberman just feels so fresh, unique, and brilliant. It's a shame that the character of Aarstad, or the lone Cyberman himself, was killed off by the Master using the tissue compression eliminator. However, you know, maybe we'll see a different version of this character in the future. Maybe there's more to explore with this character's story. I doubt it, but maybe we can see some of Aarstad in the future. That might be quite interesting. I really love what they did here, genuinely. It is gorgeous, and I honestly think this could have been the Davros of the Cybermen, if we'd allowed it, or if Tribunal allowed it. Maybe we will down the line. You remember in Genesis of the Daleks, Davros does get killed by the Daleks, technically, and then again, eventually just shows up again. So, who knows, there could be more room to explore this particular Cyberman variant. However, I don't know, we'll see. Number one, we have, still number one, the same as last time, my absolute all-time favourite is the colony ship Mondasian Cybermen from 2017's World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. These Cybermen designs are just unreal. I absolutely bloody love this design. It takes the very first, original, creepiest Mondasian Cyberman design, the 10th Planet Cybermen, and makes them for the modern day. It gives them this sort of creepy, sort of horrifying patient mask and sort of septic gloves that are sort of skin coloured, which is just awful and horrible. I hate it, but I also love it. You've got a gorgeous chest piece, which is a lot more simplified from the strange sort of Mondasian Cybermen back in the 10th Planet, which is also a bit clunky and a bit big. This sort of simplifies it down, makes it much easier and much more portable to carry around. It just makes the Cybermen look terrifying again. These are probably the scariest Cybermen I've seen on screen. The most terrifying in terms of concept, in terms of execution, especially with the whole patience stage of it, which I wasn't going to include as a separate version of the Cybermen because that's just unfair. But I love how you slowly saw these deformed sort of patients being worked on and used as test subjects to eventually achieve this, the Cybermen, and it's fascinating but also absolutely terrifying. A genuinely gorgeous design that I absolutely love to bits, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree. It is a fantastic design, and yeah, I don't really know what else I want to say about it. It's just sort of there. It's great, and I've not really got any complaints about it. It's genuinely just gorgeous. Anyway, I believe that is it for my Doctor Who Cybermen designs ranking, updated from worst to best, all 27 of them in order from worst to best. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember, it's totally my opinion. You don't have to agree with this. You're probably not going to agree with this. There's no way you can 100%. That would be absolutely mental. The chances of that are so low. So yeah, tell me what your list is in the comments below, or maybe just your top 10, or maybe just your top 5, or even your top 3, or maybe just your favourite. I don't know, but let me know. I would be very interested to see what people's favourites are, especially. So yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested about that. If you've got any more ideas for future sort of list rankings, worst to best, all that sort of thing, leave them in the comments as well. I'll have a read, maybe consider a few options, who knows. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment below for any more suggestions in the future, subscribe to the channel with notifications on. We're almost at 15k, we're getting there, very, very close now, very excited for that. But yeah, so let's smash that subscribe button. That sounds very typically YouTube, but yeah, click the subscribe button if you are enjoying the content and you're not already subscribed. Notifications on, obviously, because YouTube is a bit of a mess. I've got a Patreon page if you want to support the channel financially. Obviously, you can support the channel by sharing the video, liking it, all that sort of stuff anyway. But if you want to support the channel financially, help me keep the lights on, you can always check out the Patreon page as well to get some exclusive early access rewards, all that sort of thing. So yeah, but beyond that, that's pretty much it. I hope you have a lovely day. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.